Provincial Environment and Natural Resources Officer Rodel Bontuyan, Provincial Accountant o Provincial Budget Officer Danilo Rohan Rodas,
kanang ini green.
PPDO Benigno Christopher Lucero, Chief of the Legal Office Attorney Donato Villa, ICTO Marie Jeanette Saluba, DRRM Neil Angelo Sanchez, Provincial Tourism Officer Maria Lester Ibanez, from the Administrator's Office Noli Vincent Valencia, Provincial Administrator, and the Chief of Staff, Attorney Frank Edward Nisay V. Our Provincial Board members, PCL President Honorable Caroline Bacaltos, from the 1st District, Board Member Raul Bacaltos, Board Member Yuli Daan, from the 2nd District, Board Member Edsel Galios, and Board Member Jose Marie Tata Salvador, from the 3rd District, Board Member John Ismael Jibo Borgonia, and Board Member Victoria Orominas Toribio. Ikan sa ika-4 na distrito, Board Member Kerry Shimura. From the 5th District, Board Member Andre Red Duterte, and Board Member Miguel Antonio Mix Magpale. Ikan sa ika-9 na distrito, Board Member Glenn Anthony Soco, and Board Member Tadeo Jovito Junki Uano. Ikan sa ika-7 distrito, Board Member Christopher Dong Maricuatro, o Board Member Jerome. PCL President, Board Member Caroline Bacaltos. Vice Governor Hilario Davide III. Aniya usap ang mga mayores sa Tri-Cities. Acting Mayor Michael Mike Rama, Cebu City. Mayor Jonas Cortez, Mandaue City. Mayor Junard Ahom Chan, Lapu-Lapu City. Kuyog usap ka nato karon ang ato mga kongresista from the 3rd District. Deputy Speaker Pablo John P.J. Garcia. From the 4th District, Congressman Janice Salimbangon. From the 5th District, Congressman Duke Frasco. Undersecretary Anthony Gerard Gonzalez, from the Office of the Presidential Assistant for the Visayas. Kaigsunan, ang 11 babaeng gobernador sa lalawigan sa Cebu, Gobernador Gwen Garcia. Escorted by Police Colonel Engelbert Soriano, Cebu Provincial Police Director. Sila mo ay magtaas sa Philippine flag. Itanong karon dinhi ang sinamumong sequence na Cebu cinnamon, locally known as kaningag. Ang Bisaya nga nini kaningag, a species of cinnamon endemic to Cebu Island. In Cebu, the kaningag is a threatened species on the brink of decline. That is why there is a need for substantial growing efforts. With its healing and culinary uses, Cebu cinnamon symbolizes the unity of the Cebuanos at a time when the island heals and rises from the impact of the current pandemic. In the face of adversities, the tree to be planted by our top officials in Cebu Island should remind us that after all, we are just one island, one people, one united Cebu. Ang unang mangulo sa pagtanong ni mao si Gobernador Gwen Garcia, to be followed later by the rest of our officials. Pagasundan sa pagtapon nining maong tanong, and to join her mao na sila si Yusek John G. Gonzalez o ang atong tulog ka mayor from the Tri-Cities, Mayor Mike Rama, Cebu City, Mayor Aong Chan of Lapu-Lapu City, and Mayor Jonas Cortez of Mandawi City.
Tabunan mo akong live.
As our partners in government service, our regional directors and the private sector who always help us in government will also help nourish the tree by watering it. Buuan ang bagulang itanong. And we would like to request our regional directors, Vice Governor Davide, and the members of the board to help water the cinnamon tree. Our board members and our congressmen are also requested to help water the cinnamon tree. We request Congressman, Deputy Speaker Pablo Jan, PJ Garcia, Congresswoman Janisa Libagon, and Congressman Luke Frasco to help water the cinnamon tree. And to be followed also by the board members present. With its healing and culinary uses, Cebu cinnamon symbolizes the unity of the Cebuanos at a time when the island heals and rises from the impact of the current pandemic. In the face of adversities, this tree should remind us that after all, we are just one island, one people, one united Cebu.
May buntag ka natong tanan. Bisan pa man sa pandemic, nagpabili ng atong kahinam pagsaulog sa ikaupat, kagatos o kalim-an, katuig ug duha nga pagkahimugso sa atong pinalanggang lalawigan sa Sugbo. Cheers. It's been a year and a half sukad giduaw kita. Magpabili mo, bisitahan na dili yung uli sa COVID-19. Diin kalit kaayo na usab ang hulagway sa probinsya o ang atong tagsa-tagsa kakinabuhi. We witnessed, even experienced firsthand the anguish of the Cebuanos losing loved ones, their livelihood, as the pandemic dragged on. But despite this adversity, we refuse to give in to chaos and despair, thus giving substance and profound meaning to resilience. For Gov. Gwen, it is the indomitable Cebuano spirit that has kept us going. Kita mga Sugbuanon will never succumb to paralysis and misery. Our ability and resolve to rise from a crushing ordeal is not because we don't have a choice, but because we have made a bold choice to control our fate and move forward as our forebears during their time. Again, mabuhi kitang tanan, mag-amping kita tanunay, ug mabuhi ang atong pinalanggang Sugbo. Welcome.
Today marks the 452nd anniversary of the province of Cebu. One could just imagine the more than 4 centuries old rich history and culture that shaped the people of this marvelous province. Being one of the oldest provinces in the country, Cebu has been through many adversities in the past, and yet it remains standing proudly to this day, proving that our people are indeed indomitable and strong. Last year, we had our first experience of a COVID-19 surge, and it was quite a tough time for all of us Cebuanos. However, through unity, we were able to overcome such a painstaking ordeal. Because we worked together, we were able to stay on MGCQ for the longest time, and potential surges were kept manageable. We are happy that our leaders here in Cebu get along well, and are united, a key ingredient in successfully countering any adversity. It makes our work as OPAV easier. With a grateful heart, I am proud of what Cebu has become under the care of its leaders, under Governor Gwen Garcia, Mayor Mike Rama, Mayor Ahong Chan, and Mayor Jonas Cortez, Vice Governor Davide, and all the congressmen. It is very important to have one Cebu, one voice to conquer all the odds. May the Cebuanos continue to show us that the spirit of true bayanihan is still very much alive in Cebu up to this day.
As we celebrate the founding anniversary of the province of Cebu, we are once again reminded of our past and our history. From the native people of Cebu to the arrival of Magellan, with him the introduction of Christianity, the era of the Spanish, the Japanese, then the Americans, and to now, Cebu and the Cebuanos were never without trials and adversity, and never without hope and faith. Kauban sa paglaom, sa pagtuo, o pangaliya kang Senior Santo Niño, makabot ra gyud nato ang ato ang gipangandoy o gipaninguha nga kauswagan sa sugbo o kahayag sa kaugmaon alang sa tanang Sugboanon. Happy 452nd founding anniversary, Province of Cebu. Daghang salamat.
In a moment of crisis, when the will and the faith of our people are tested, to remember becomes our common duty. To remember ang paghinumdum, to remember those and to honor those who came before us. Their work, their sacrifice for this promise of provincehood 452 years ago. Kinanglan nato hinumduman nga daghan ang naguna kanato nga nagdimbasog, some who gave their lives so that this province may live and continue. It becomes our duty not just to remember, but to remind. Dili lang ang paghinumdum, apan ang pagpahinumdum. To remind ourselves and our people that we have gone through so much during these 452 years as a province. We have gone through war, through pestilence, through a previous pandemic, through famine and hunger. To remind our people so that this crisis that we face now will be put in perspective, that this is just another challenge, and as we have proven as a people, time and again throughout these 452 years, we shall overcome. It is also our duty not just to remember and to remind, but also to renew our faith, to renew our work and our efforts, so that our people, our Cebuano people, the people whom we serve, shall be free again, free from sickness, free from fear, free from hunger, and free to dream again of a united, glorious province of Cebu. Mabuhi ang Sugbo, padayon jud Subuanon. Daghang salamat ug maayong buntag kanatong tanan.
Mayor Edgardo Colina Labella, and I, being the Vice Mayor of the city, we had our resolution that we must act as one Cebu Island. And now I am very proud being a part, very fitting, 452 years of its existence. Very apt that the three mayors now in this wonderful, magnificent edifice, it cannot be what Cebu is now if there were no people And that people, we must give our recognition and our salute. But there can be no Cebu now without us continuously giving that pride a real meaning. And I wish, in behalf of the city of Cebu, in behalf of my mayor, I join with all the rest every moment since this morning, from the flag ceremony, tree planting, to the mass, and now the proper program. Such a very exhilarating ceremony.
You know, naabit ay usa kahigayon, 50 na hinumdum lang ko kay 44 ka munisipyo o unom ka component cities. There were 50 delegates who attended a seminar. When suddenly the speaker stood up and he distributed 50 balloons each. He gave one each to the delegates and told them to write their names on it. And after which, he collected all the balloons and placed it inside the adjacent room. Ibuwag ang balloon, and he told all the delegates within 5 minutes to look for the balloon on which ang ilangan nakasuwat. Everyone was frantically looking for their own balloon. Tinukmuray, kagubot ang nakabot. Nabot ang 5 minutos, way nahimo. And he said, stop. And he told them to randomly get one balloon and to give it to the person whose name is written on it within 5 minutes. Wapay 5 minutos na silang tanan nakadawat sa ilang balon nga nakasuwat ang ilang pangan. The message is so loud and clear. Let us look at the bigger picture and stop of thinking only of ourselves. We must be a government that listens to its people. Maminaw sa katawhan, maminaw sa kasilinganan. We must be a government nga andam kanunay mutabang. We should be counted as one in nation building. Dunay ilang gingon, if you want to build a strong republic, you have to build strong communities because it takes people to stand up and own a piece of our community. One problem at a time, one solution at a time, one Cebuano at a time to say that I am part of the solution. It is my fervent wish that someday, somehow, nga kitang tanan, madato, makabus, tiguang batanon, that all of us will be proud to say that Cebu is our home, our pride, and our future.
Ladies and gentlemen, our unity is put to test by the COVID-19 pandemic. Pero isip mga Subuanon, nagkayusa kita sa pag-atubang sa atong mangtas nga kaaway. Wala kita nagpadaog sa kahadlok. Salamat sa atong mga opisyales sa probinsya sa Cebu nga nagkayusa haron as one province, one island, one Cebu. Hiusahon ang atong mga lakang sa pag-ampo sa virus. Inay mutalaw, misukol kita sa atong kontra nga dili makita. Tungod sa maayong pagdumala ni Governor Gwen, inabagan ni Sec. Mike Dino ug sa tanang mayores sa probinsya ug giniyahan sa atong labaw nga makagagahom. Malampuson natong na-manage ug na-control ang kaso sa kinatibuk ang probinsya sa Sugbo ug subli nga gibuksan ang mga patigayon. Kampante ako nga sa atong padayon nga pagtambayayong ug pagtinabangay inubanan ni Senior Santo Niño ug sa atong mahal namo nga patron, Senyora Berhen sa regla. Epektibo nato na ma-manage ug masubli natong makontrol ang atong kaso karon. Unity is the strength. When there is teamwork and collaboration, wonderful things can be achieved. This celebration highlights unity of the Cebuanos, herein represented by its leaders. The 402nd, 52nd founding anniversary of the province of Cebu is a fitting reminder of the many milestones of this great province through the years. How we conquer COVID today will become a milestone of tomorrow as we celebrate our victory over COVID-19. In behalf of the local government of Lapu-Lapu City and its people, allow me to express our warmest congratulations to Governor Gwendolyn Gwen for the successful hosting of this event despite of the pandemic, and to the entire Cebuano populace in the occasion of the 452 founding anniversary of the province of Cebu. Mabuhi ang probinsya sa Sugbo, mabuhi ang Sugbuanon.
The mayors of the Tri-Cities, we have Acting Mayor Mike Rama, Mayor Jonas Cortez, Mayor Jonard Ahong Chan, the members of the Provincial Board, our officers of the PNP and the AFP, the different heads of our government agencies and line agencies, the Mandawi Chamber of Commerce, represented here by its president, Mr. Stephen Yu, and with members of the board, Beverly and Margot, the capital department heads, Monsignor Boy, alas na, mga binati ug minahal kong kaigsunang Sugbuanon, malipayong pagsaulog ni ining ika-452 nga founding anniversary ning pinalangga tang Sugbo, maayong buntag. Una sa tanan, buot kong magpasalamat kaninyo ning inyong presensya karong buntaga sa inyong pakigkuyog ning atong pagsaulog sa usa ka makasaysayanon nga anibersaryo, ika-452 sa usa ka makasaysayanong lalawigan. Sa mga adlaw nga pasidulong niining adlaw, Agosto 6, adunay mga nangutana, sa ulogon ba sa probinsya? Ang anibersaryo, founding anniversary, karong tuiga, taliwala nining pahibalik na usab sa MECQ status, ugunya nagasaka nga mga kaso sa COVID-19. ug sa walay pagduda ang tubag nako mao ngao sa ulugon sa probinsya. Yes, we will celebrate this milestone, this 452nd founding anniversary of the province of Cebu. Because this is, after all, the great province of Cebu and our beloved province. We owe it to history, and as Pablo Jan said, we owe it to those who came before us, the great Cebuano leaders that charted the course of our journey, and on whose shoulders we, the present crop of leaders, now stand to give us an even better vantage view of what lies ahead in order for us to define the bright and progressive future that our constituents hope for. Ubusa ani kita karong buntaga. Nagsaulog sa usa ka lalawigan nga giila sa tibuok nasod. Naguna sa 81 kalalawigan sa Pilipinas. And where exactly does the province of Cebu stand today? Allow me to give you a brief summary. Let us start with the financial position and performance of the provincial government of Cebu. A comparative presentation of assets and net income for 2019, 2020, and 2021. Total assets, as you can see, has progressed through the years, and for the first half alone of 2021, we now stand at 211.3 billion pesos total assets for the province of Cebu, ranking us number 1 in the entire country. The rest of the provinces are a few miles behind, many miles behind. Net income shows that in 2019, it was a little below a billion. We reached 1.3 billion in 2020. And in 2021, for the first half alone, from January to June, we have already achieved a net income of 1.5 billion pesos. So we are number 1 in total assets. We expect to triple our net income, to double our net income for this year. And more importantly, the province of Cebu now stands debt-free, free from any loan or financial obligation from any financial institution. We also continue to be insurgency-free. Okay, I am reminded. Let me give you our cash position. In December 31, 2020, our cash position stood at 5.4 billion. For the first half of 2021, our cash position now stands at approximately 7.2 billion pesos. But as I said, what do these figures mean? They are just numbers. The honor of being called the #1 province is a pyrrhic and empty honor. Usa ka taphaw nga dungog. Kung kini dili matagamtam sa mga Subuanon, dili makaabot nila nga labaw nga nagkinahanglan. And so that is why we have taken on the challenge of translating these figures into actual services for the Cebuanos. We started with infrastructure. We have been on a massive road building program, which since 2019 up to 2020 have seen the concreting of our provincial and barangay roads. And these are our figures. Total kilometers for 2019 was 105.11, ongoing at 200, for 2019, we have 246.81 with a total of 351.92 kilometers, both for 2019 and 2020. Provincial roads. We are also aggressively concreting barangay roads. For 2021, we now have ongoing 40.36 kilometers, and we'll continue on to 225.7 kilometers for provincial roads, another 65 kilometers estimated for barangay roads. So on with bridges, box culverts, and covered courts. In the field of health, we have tried to upgrade, even in the midst of this pandemic. Our 4 provincial hospitals, our provincial hospital in Balamban now has a hemodialysis center, which can serve up to 10 patients at a time. We are now on the completion stage of a 3-story building, as well as the construction of support facilities, upgrading our bed capacity to 200 beds, level 2. The same goes for our other provincial hospitals, Bogo, Karkar, and Danao. Our district hospitals as well are undergoing upgrading with focus on our island hospitals in Camotes and Bantayan. We have added medical personnel through outsourcing, job order, and have regularized the most number of medical personnel who recently were also took their oaths as regular employees, as well as took their oaths as promoted health workers in our hospitals. The caravan of services that you briefly saw, we continue to extend on a quarterly basis that reaches out to the poorest of the poor, our senior citizens, as well as the various sectors in our different towns, such as women's sector, farmers, puroks, and others. We have extended social welfare services, as well as distributed assistive devices to those in need. The Enhanced Countryside Development Program was launched, which would now extend financing to the entire spectrum of farmers and fisher folks, from small, medium, to large-scale farming. 3 financial institutions, Land Bank, DBP, and the Philippine Veterans Bank have put together a total amount of 20 billion pesos to be made available to those who would wish to avail of their loan facility, coursed through our ECD, Technical Working Group. You also saw the Sugbusog, the highly successful Sugbusog. This was launched at the height of the restrictions in April of 2020, when everybody was forced to stay at home, realizing the depressing state of mind that this would burden upon our people. We encouraged them by distributing free seeds to plant on a household level and launched a competition for households and puroks. Since it generated such a huge response, last year, on the same day such as this, we launched an even bigger Sugbusog program, which we call Sugbusog 2, which now included our barangays and local government units. Well, the Sugbusog has taken Sugbo by storm. The Department of Education then indicated their interest to participate as well. And so we launched the Sugbusog sa Eskwelahan program. But the PNP would not wish to be left behind. And now it might interest you to know that PNP stations now have vegetables. In fact, some have started to harvest and distributed to the community. So thank you to the Department of Education, headed by even the region has now started planting in the regional office. Thank you, Dr. Celestano Jimenez, and thank you, Dr. Marilyn Andales, as well as our other city division superintendents. And we thank the region, General Montejo, who has also started planting vegetables in the regional office. We thank our Provincial Director, Colonel Engelbert Soriano, for initiating the Sugbusog sa Eskwelahan program. The Sugbo Negosyo. This was and continues to be a first of its kind, where we actually address the needs of micro-entrepreneurs in the countryside, hoping that if we could extend a helping hand, this would spark the much-needed economic resurgence of activity that had, because of the restrictions of the pandemic, been set aside. This program took a lot of hours in its conceptualization stage, even as we continue to meet with our partners. And I thank the Mandawi Chamber of Commerce, President Stephen Yu, and our Board of Directors for the continuing selfless dedication to this program, as well as the Department of Trade and Industry. Soon, we will be launching once again Sugbo Negosyo Part 2, and our provincial board members and our Vice Governor will once again be working with us in seeking out and vetting the applicants for future beneficiaries, as we once again allocate to each of your offices 15 million pesos for the office of the Vice Governor and 5 million pesos each for each of our 17 board members. The Cebu Tourism Program. We took a bold step last year when Cebu Province was granted MGCQ status, we went around the province to reopen tourism. Because my going around in the different towns and even barangays of the province told me that so many were suffering. Nasirhan ang mga resorts, wala na yung mga nakatrabaho. Ang kanhing ang mga nang supply sa mga seafood, karne, utanon, ug uban pa, wala na'y mabaligyaan. Ang mga tricycle nga dunay manakay, wa na'y manakay. Ang mga guides, canyoneering, ug uban pa, wala na'y mag-guide. Daghan kaayo ang nakulban og kaldero. Ug busa, taliwala sa atong gipadayon og atubang nga hagit, ug taliwala sa uban nga miauhag nga padayon tagsira. Pasagdi na lang usa na. Kay makahadlo kaayo kining COVID-19. I made a bold decision. You see, when I decide, I just don't decide for myself. I decide for millions of lives. And that is why it's a tough balancing act. In the end, it would have to be the greater majority that were suffering that I would choose to help. Even as we had to continue with very strict health protocols. Last August, we reopened tourism in the various tourist destinations in the entire province. Adtong panahuna, the naysayers would say, naunsa man na, abli-ablig turismo, wa na may mga Koreano, wa na may mga Hapon, wa na may mga insect, wa na foreign tourist kaysa may mga to. Ang akong tubag, kinsa pa man di ay ang magtinabangay, kung dili sugbuanon, tabangan ang isig kasugbuanon. O akong giauhag ang tanan nga mga sugbuanon. Diskubrihe, tanawa, kung unsa di ay katahom ang atong lalawigan o ang atong isla sa Subo. Tungod niadto, nibalik ang occupancy levels sa atong mga resorts. Nakatrabaho og balik ang atong mga waiters, mga room boys, ang mga canyoneering guides, ug daghan pang uban. Even as we continue to grapple with this challenge of COVID-19, and yes, our numbers are rising, but you see, if we are to perpetually keep on counting numbers, then we shall be caught in a time warp, giving more importance to numbers, forgetting that the more crucial test and challenge is how we shall manage COVID-19. I am confident to tell you that in the province of Cebu right now, our 4 provincial hospitals and our 12 district hospitals have expanded capacity to accommodate COVID-19 patients. We are shortening the time lapse that it takes to ascertain whether a patient is COVID positive or not. We have instituted more efficient procedures. And yes, the province of Cebu is managing COVID-19. We have instituted no aircon, open air ventilation for all of our public transports, and insisted that even though GCQ with heightened restrictions allowed for a 20% dine-in for those that cannot possibly open their windows or doors, I have decided that only al fresco dining would be allowed. We are also strictly implementing the air purifier with HEPA filter purifying system in all of the establishments. We are insisting that all service personnel wear their own personal air purifiers. And as to the fear of shortage of oxygen, I have already issued executive order, an executive order that now regulates the sale of medical oxygen, giving priority to all of our hospitals. Let me assure you, let me assure the public, that even though today's headlines talk about hoarding of oxygen, perhaps that happened before my executive order came out. I have met with all of our oxygen suppliers and manufacturers, and they are committed to strictly implementing the executive order that allows only sale to individuals and entities. When it comes to medical oxygen, such sale shall only be done with a medical prescription and with a limit of 5 20-pound tanks. All the 50-pound tanks will be set aside and prioritized for all of our hospitals. Our manufacturers here in Cebu, and we have 3, have the capacity to convert. Right now, they are producing industrial as well as medical oxygen. But at any time, should supply, demand increase, they will readily convert their industrial oxygen capacity to medical oxygen. And I have talked about this at length in order to allay fears. Please, let us not add to the panic that is already spreading even faster than the Delta variant here in Cebu. If you do not have anything knowledgeable to say, please keep your mouth social distancing. So that is how we stand. The province of Cebu, as it celebrates today its 452nd founding anniversary. You saw our financials, you saw our programs. Kining tanan nahitabo dili lamang tungod sa usa ka tawo. Nahitabo kini tungod kay daghan ang mitampo. Daghan ang nakig-abag. What the province of Cebu is today is a product of a united, concerted, and collective effort of so many. And this morning, allow me to thank, first and foremost, Vice Governor Junjun Davide and the members of the Provincial Board. You have been with me from the very beginning of this pandemic, and you continue to support me. You have shown the entire province what unity can do. Daghan gyud kaayong salamat, Vice Governor Junjun and all members of the Provincial Board. Tuguti usab nga akong pasalamatan si Secretary Michael Dino. Karon girepresentar ni Yusek John G. Gonzales. From the very start, he has been the key factor in getting all of us together. Nga kung karon nagkahiusa ang atong lihok, direksyon ug tingog kana tungod kay aduna usab kitay usa ka sekretaryo nga sugboanon nga bisan pa man nga usahay siya moatubang ug uban pa nga kalisod kanunay iyang ipatigbabaw ang iyang pagkasubuanon ug iya gayong gilabanan kitang mga subuanon. Salamat, Secretary Michael Dino. I wish to thank our congressmen. In times when Cebu took a position when Cebu needed the support of those that can speak out in the national stage, whether it be the backriding policy or the most recent ROF, OFW position that catapulted our provincial board now to the distinct honor of being the Provincial Board of the Philippines. Our congressmen and women have always supported us. Sa tanan nga among hangyo, anaa kamo. Ug andam nga mulagda sa bisag unsa man nga petisyon o resolusyon. Daghang salamat, Deputy Speaker Pablo John Garcia, Congresswoman Janice Salimbangon, Congressman Duke Frasco, ug ang uban pa natong mga Subuanong kongresista. Akong pasalamatan usab ang atong Capital Department heads. Sayod kamo nga ubos ning akong administrasyon, dili na 8 oras ang inyong trabaho og dili na klaro hay adlaw og hay gabi. Apan sa tanang higayon kung nagkinahanglan ko ninyo, anaa gyud kamo, and I know that you are always giving your very, very best. Daghang salamat kaninyo atong mga Capital Department heads. And you know, when I was in Congress, 6 years, nagkauban mi, kanhi usab, kongresista karon balik pagka-mayor, Jonas Cortez. I realized that we could indeed work with national government agencies. Na kung muhangyo lamang kita, nga tabangan, andam sila. So when I came back as governor, I made it a point that I would reach out to our government agencies and line agencies because everybody needs help. And without any hesitation, they all came to our support. I would like to thank you all. Ang tanan natong mga regional directors, DOT, ug provincial directors, DOT, DTI, DILG, DOLE, DSWD. Of course, sa kanunay, labi na karon, doon na kita'y stricto kaayo nga pag-implementar sa open ventilation, no overloading policy. Salamat gyud kaayo. RD Vic Kaindek and RD Ed Monte Alto, LTO and LTFRB. Sa atong Provincial Tourism Task Force, kanunay gayud nga nakikuyog ka nato gawas sa ubang mga ahensya nga ako nang nahisgutan ang atong men and women in uniform. So I would like to thank the Coast Guard, here represented by, I would like to thank first and foremost Admiral Isaga, here represented by the Central Visayas Commander Chris Auro, the AFP, and I wish to thank General Angkan, who cannot be with us. He's being given his honors in Camp Crame. I would wish to thank Brigadier General Jose Mijares Benitez, Deputy Commander of the Central Command. And of course, Task Group Cebu, Bohol, and Siquijor, Colonel Jerry Borja. Well, he played a significant role kaganina sa gihisgutan ni Mayor Jonas nga ni ungot ang atong provincial flag. Salamat kaayo ang atong bag-o nga provincial director sa PNP, Colonel Engelbert Soriano. And of course, the Mandaue Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Kaninyong tanan, mag-unsa na lang ko kung wala kamo. Mutago na lang ko, ilawom sa katre, manira sa akong pultahan, kay mahadlo ko sa COVID-19. Apan kay naa mo, naisog sad ko. Daghan gyud kaayong salamat kaninyong tanan. Kining pagsaulog sa ika-452 nga founding anniversary, nahimong mas makahuluganon o mas mahinuklugon. Siyam katuig nga ako kanhi gobernador, wala ko mahinumdom nga nahitabo kini. Karon pa lang ning akong pagbalik na usab. Nga ning atong pagsaulog sa probinsya sa Sugbo, kauban nato ang mga mayores sa Tri-Cities. Ni agayod nakigkuyog, nakigsandurot ug ni unong kanato. Busa, daghan kaayong salamat. Mayor Jonas Cortez, Mayor Ahong Chan, Acting Mayor, former Mayor, Acting Mayor, Extended Acting Mayor Mike Rama. Truly, the political boundaries that divide us are little as compared to the bonds that can never separate us. Kung aduna kitay mga distinksyon sa jurisdiction, apan, labaw sa tanan, sa kasing-kasing, sa huna-huna, ug sa atong kinatibuk-an, kita mga Sugboanon. Usara kitang mga Sugboanon. Gihisgutan gyud ni Mayor Jonas ganina, kadtong pag-ungot sa atong provincial flag. Murag according to script, kay nahimong symbolic. Nagbiraming duha, tinabangay na ni Vice Gov. Ugo niya, mitabang ang PNP. Hangtod nga nabira, padung sa taas. Resultian tamo kay ako'y nagbira. Sa katapusan nga tingali, unom kadangaw, labihan na yung bugata. And it took all of my 99 pounds of strength to see to it that that flag would reach the top, the apex of that flagpole. It seemed like a symbolic analogy of what the province of Cebu has gone through and continues to face. Tungod kay nakakuha tagtabang, PD Soriano was there to help, and the others too. Nagibira ang pisi. Nahibalik og saka kadtong niungot. But since I was holding that rope that was pulling up the provincial flag, when it got heavier and heavier, I realized that it was all up to me. That I had to strain and pull and give everything that I had to see to it that that flag would reach the very top. You see, because the buck stops with me. Giingnan ko, sige, bahala ka Cebu. Ako na. Tulubagon. Tungod kay ang katawhan naghatag kanako niini nga maong pagsalig. In May of 2019, the people of Cebu once again chose me to lead this province. And I will always consider it a great blessing and a great responsibility. Busa, mga Sugboanon, bisag unsa pay mahitabo. Bisag unsa pay akong atubangon, barugan ko gayud kamo. Panalipdan ko ang pinalangga natong Sugbo. Allow me to end with the words that without fail evoke that overwhelming sense of pride in my heart each time these words are spoken. Musulbong ang garbo sa akong kasing-kasing, matag higayon nga madungog kong ilitok kining maong mga pulong. Karong adlaw ning atong pagsaulog sa atong 452nd founding anniversary sa makausapa sama sa mga naglabayng panahon apan niining buntaga inubanan pa sa dugang nakaisog, dugang nga pagpanghinaot nga magpadayon ang paggiya kanato sa Senyor Santo Niño ug sa atong patrona Birhen de Guadalupe. Muingon ako nining hiniusa, nagkahiusa ug tibuok nga Sugbo. Mabuhi ang Sugbo, mabuhi kitang tanang Sugboanon. Daghang salamat.
Daghang salamat, Gobernador Gwen Garcia.